Hi guys, this is Abhinav and welcome to MTAG TV. We are live with our post-match review of what has been IPL's 200, the usual 200 derby that happens between Rajasthan Royals and the newly christened Punjab Kings, which has seen the Rajasthan Royals lose by a bare margin of just 5 runs, by 5 runs. And talking with us over here to discuss this game, we've got Editor G's sports editor, the very popular Yash Chawla and Raghav Tikmani. Welcome, guys. Welcome to the show. And I think this has been a pretty massive game. We've had the first 200 run, big 200 run game. So, Raghav, I'll come to you straight off. When the teams were announced for both sides, what were your initial expectations? I mean, how did you perceive the squad balance of both Rajasthan and Punjab going into this game, especially the 11s?
I think Punjab's 11 was the same as what I had thought, but when it came to Rajasthan, it was a pretty tough decision to make between Mustafizur and David Miller. Now, if they had to go by playing to their strength, they could have gone for David Miller, but the Rajasthan, while buying Chris Morris, it was made clear that they're going for the two overseas pacers strategy. So we saw it coming that Mustafizur might just be in the playing 11. So I think that wasn't the issue. Both teams had their playing 11 pretty sorted. I don't think there should be any issue with that. Maybe for Wankhede, Mustafizur wouldn't have been the ideal choice, but for the longer run, I would have preferred Mustafizur playing as long as Archer is out.
Absolutely. Yash, I'll come to you straight off. Rajasthan's 11, I think, like Raghav said, kind of on expected lines, especially with the fact that there was no Jofra Archer. But Punjab's 11, especially their batting, especially with a tail that starts basically from number 7, what did you make of their team composition?
Well, the team composition was absolutely perfect for Punjab as well. They had no other choice but to play the 11 that they played, as well as Rajasthan as well. I mean, there's nothing to separate between these two teams. It was like a heavyweight bout, both the boxers going into the all 20 rounds and everyone hitting one uppercut after the other and one jab after the other. And it was, I think, probably decided by the referees well. And this was a proper humdinger, as you correctly mentioned. I think for Rajasthan, I wouldn't have made any other changes to the playing 11 than the playing 11 they played, considering the situation that they were in, minus Jofra Archer. With the 11 they were playing in Bombay, it was absolutely perfect. This was by far the best game of IPL 2021 so far. And trust me, this is a very high standard of cricket that we saw.
Absolutely. I think the first big 200 plus game, as we already mentioned. So coming down to the batting of Punjab, we saw this one massive partnership between KL Rahul, the captain, and Deepak Hooda, who surprisingly was promoted up to number 4. Yash, I'll take your views on it. What did you make of the move to promote Deepak Hooda and the subsequent violence that he unleashed on the Rajasthan bowlers?
See, it was a bold call because, Nicholas Pooran has been a tried and tested player for Punjab over the years. Also, in international cricket, Pooran is known for hitting those big, lusty blows. Also, they broke the bank for Shahrukh Khan as well. To send someone above Nicholas Pooran and Shahrukh Khan was a bold move. But we all know how Deepak Hooda knows Rajasthan really well as well. Plus, Deepak Hooda also has been a quiet IPL campaigner for quite a number of years. So I think that was a good call. We now look at things in hindsight as they've already been accomplished. So that was a brilliant thing. What Deepak Hooda had a very good impact on KL Rahul as well. If you look at KL Rahul's batting, with Hooda going hammer and tongs against Rajasthan bowlers, specifically spinners, it opened up a new gateway for KL Rahul. KL Rahul was a different batsman at that time, and I still remember when Chris Gayle lost his wicket. KL Rahul was facing his innings at 110, 115 strike rate. And just when Hooda took off, that gave KL Rahul the room to spread his wings. And Red Bull gives you wings, so KL Rahul took those wings. Took a great flight.
Absolutely. Raghav, what do you make of the partnership between the two between the two batsmen, KL Rahul and Deepak Hooda, and especially a word on KL Rahul's innings and how you felt it went about.
I think KL Rahul's innings was pretty much a lot different from what we saw of KL last season. Like KL was sticking to anchoring the innings throughout, not even like showing less intent. But this time today we saw him show intent and like score at a good strike rate also. And he was also hitting the ball well when Deepak Hooda was scoring at a high rate. KL didn't stop. He also continued. He also paced the innings well. And about Huda being sent ahead of Pooran, I think main reason was that if they had sent Pooran at 4 and one of KL or Pooran had gotten out early, then the inexperienced batting order, middle order of Punjab would have been exposed, because then it would be Huda, Shahrukh Khan, and Jai Richardson up next, which might just have like costed them a lot of runs. And so I think that was a very good move, and it actually paid off.
I think that partnership between Hooda and KL Rahul was the difference between the two sides. Because if you look at Rajasthan's scorecard, there was not one big partnership. They were all small clustered partnerships. And if there was a big enough partnership comparable to that in Rajasthan's innings, the result would have been different.
Absolutely, I think that's a very very valid point there. A word, I mean, there was also a debutant for Rajasthan Royals today. 22-year-old pacer from Saurashtra, going by the name of Chetan Sakaria, whose backstory I think a lot of people by now would be familiar with. Immense hardships he's undergone, bought by Rajasthan by for 1.2 crores, and on a pitch with, on a ground which basically is a graveyard for bowlers. He and in a total of 222, the guy turns up with a spell of 4 overs, 3 for 31. Yash, I'll come to you. What did you make of the spell from Chetan Sakaria? Not to forget, there was also that incredible catch that he took of Nicholas Pooran on the 18th over.
True. So let's talk about Sakaria in detail. Let's look at first the batsmen he got out: KL Rahul, Mayank Aggarwal, two India internationals, and also then Jai Richardson, borderline Australian international as well. That takes a lot of heart. Plus, also remember he opened the innings for Rajasthan as a bowler. Specifically, when you have experienced campaigners like Mustafizur and Chris Morris and Rajasthan also being known to use Shreyas Gopal as well to open the innings as well, and also Ben Stokes was also there. So in between all of this, you get someone who's making an IPL debut to open the innings. It takes an incredible amount of heart to deliver that. That's number one, and that catch was incredible. I mean, the umpire actually wasted those 90 seconds to look at those replays because it was an absolutely clean screamer. And my heart goes out because I would like to give a shout out to one person called Shashank Kishore. He writes for ESPN Cricket for. Amazing bit of story that he's come up with. How Chetan lost his brother and his family hid that story from him for quite a few number of days because he was playing in Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy. And this is exactly why IPL is here. This gives platform to people who have got no hope whatsoever, and then suddenly they rise to the occasion and they prove their mettle.
Absolutely, I think we've already had some fairy tale beginnings in this IPL. The likes of T. Natarajan, Mohammed Siraj, all these guys have had hard upbringings, hard beginnings for them. But the IPL, the riches of the IPL and the exposure that they've gotten, I mean, it's helped them become India internationals and in their own right. And Raghav, I'll come to you. For somebody like Chetan Sakaria, how good was this spell by a debutant? What do you make of his spell today?
I mean, there's absolutely no words. Like, his economy was under 8 in a match where both teams scored 220 odd runs. So that was terrific. And along with that, he took 3 wickets, and 2 of them were of KL and Mayank. Plus the catch he took, it was a brilliant catch. So it was a sort of a dream debut for him. Like, a win would have been the icing on the cake, but Chetan Sikaria's performance might just have been the biggest positive for Rajasthan, because last year they had pace bowling issues. They used to just keep on switching between Unadkat, Karthik Tyagi, Varun Aaron, and in Chetan Sekaria they've got someone who can bowl, who can give you 4 good overs, 4 quality overs, even at the back end. So that way Rajasthan have been benefited a lot with him, and he in this season, in this current season only, he might be one of the very good star performers for them, uh, maybe winning them a couple of games here and there.
Absolutely. There's an interesting question that's coming from Keshav Aggarwal. Guys, one serious question. What do you think of Mr. Universe Boss? Should he be batting at the right up top? Yash, I'll ask.
No, I think in this particular playing 11, so it depends on every team. So you can't airdrop any cricketer into a team without looking at the combination and the composition. Maybe for a team like Mumbai Indians, if Chris Gayle plays for them, he would be perfect in the opening slot. But for a team like Kings and Punjab, he need to be at one down. For a simple reason, yes, combinations do matter, left-right combinations do matter. But here, you have very inexperienced middle order. Now, today it fired and you ended up scoring 227, 228, but that won't happen every day. Also, today, over the years, Chris Gayle, yes, he loves playing fast bowling and spinners alike, but over the years, Chris Gayle has slowed down and he needs some time to start his, I won't use the word diesel generator on an engine, perhaps he's on older technology, he's probably a steam engine, so he takes time to warm up and he takes time to take on, which is why a one-down position, especially for Kings 11 Punjab, is tailor-made for him.
Absolutely. I think even Surya Sesha in the comments has dropped in saying KL Mayank is something that has worked. Don't fix something that ain't broke. And I think that's a very fair assessment to make. Very Punjab ended up with 222, and then Rajasthan's start wasn't the best. They lost. Ben Stokes of just the third ball of the innings, and then there was a little bit. Then came the partnership that kind of set the things in motion for them. The partnership, that little cameo partnership between Riyan Parag and SanJu Samson. I'll come to you, Raghav, about SanJu Samson's innings. First game as a captain in the IPL, opening day blockbuster 100. What do you make of SanJu Samson's 100 today and overall captaincy? And I'll put the same question to Yash as well.
So, like, first game as captaincy, you can't blame him for anything, and he's lost his best bowler at his disposal, Jofra Archer. So, and conceding 220 on a belter of a wicket against a very good batting order, you can't blame him for that. And he's not a very experienced player. He's got barely any international experience. Him leading the side in the first game, at once I had thoughts that maybe Rajasthan are putting too much pressure on him, but he proved me wrong by scoring that brilliant 100. Just that it was like unlucky on him that he couldn't get the team over the line. Game of fine margins.
Absolutely. Yash, I'll come to you. SanJu Samson's innings today and his overall captaincy. What do you make of it?
Well, it's very difficult to decode someone's captaincy in one game. I thought the bowling selections could have been better, but again, that's my opinion. And of course, he is in a better place to decide than all of us. But if you look at SanJu Samson's innings as a batsman, it was not his best. Trust me, it was great, it was awesome, it was brilliant, but SanJu Samson was not at his fluent best. He was still maybe 19, 20, maybe there was something missing from him, and that something missing, he made up for it towards the end because he paced his innings to perfection. Captaining aside, playing the first match, chasing 220 to win, that was a big call. Plus losing wickets at regular intervals, he held it up. He back calculated the total to such perfection that he had 10, 11 runs coming in every over. And there was this period of partnerships with Jos Buttler, with Riyan Parag, even to start with Manan Vora as well, where Samson dominated every partnership. The good part about Samson's innings was that he didn't play second fiddle to anyone in this innings. He knew that if he had to take control, he had to take control because there was no Deepak Huda in the kind of an innings to help him out. So he had to do the bulk of scoring. Plus, in this particular Rajasthan Royals 11, I found Sanju's, which I found slightly inconvincing. His innings was far more fluent than all of the other batters combined, because probably he looked like he must have faced 60 odd deliveries in the nets and then he came out to bat.
True, absolutely. And there's a very good question coming in from Rishabh Rai. Do you think Rajasthan can swap Buttler and Stokes' batting positions? Because Stokes had a three-ball duck today. Buttler was looking very, very fluid, but was dismissed at just the wrong time. What do you think? I mean, does Ben Stokes, the Ben Stokes Buttler combination, does it have positions? Do they need to be altered, or do they? Is it possible to group them up together as an opening pair?
See, Butler has always been considered a finisher by Rajasthan Royals in the ranks. Butler probably would open for England, but they've never thought of him as an opener. Probably, this is my reading of the situation. But yes, I agree there with Rishabh that Butler and Stokes should swap. Stokes is I won't say a better finisher, but Butler is a better opener. So you would rather put a batsman in a better position than have two batsmen in not so good positions. So I would recommend, they went for left-right combination with Stokes and Manan Vora. But Vora, his innings aside, I think Buttler should be the one opening, because I feel Buttler is a better new ball batsman as compared to Stokes. Stokes will still give you that chances, because if you notice when Buttler came out to bat, he hit those 4 incredible boundaries back to back, and that was the ball was still pretty much new at that time. So he's a far better new ball batsman as compared to Ben Stokes.
Absolutely. Raghav, I take your point on this. Does Rajasthan need to consider swapping the batting positions for Jos Buttler and Ben Stokes?
I think Rajasthan faced this problem last season also, and they're facing this year also. That the fact that they have 3 very good players who can bat, whose best suited position is the opening position, Buttler, Stokes, Samson, and they don't really have any quality reliable middle order players who they can rely on. So if they open with both Buttler or Stokes, or 2 of them, like Buttler or Samson, or Stokes or Samson, and they lose early wickets, their inexperienced middle order will be exposed. So I think Rajasthan will have to find that combination, and that is why last season Buttler was shifted back to number 4 or number 5, because even after giving them 2 brilliant seasons while opening the batting, he was pushed back for team combinations. But this season, with SanJu Samson playing like the way he played today, I think Buttler and Stokes both can open with Manan Vora at 3 and Samson at 4, or maybe Stokes at 3 and Buttler and Vora can go opening. Because Stokes playing below any position, like number 4, number 5, Stokes is suited for the top 3 position in T20s. He's a bit of a slow starter.
I agree there, but having it's again the same thing. I mean, what coaching manual are you reading? You want a top batsman to open the innings, and your top 3 to come the way they are. But you need to plan, because if you get someone, say Anuj Rawat, who's also a Delhi wicketkeeper batsman, like a Ranji Trophy wicketkeeper batsman, he kind of also brings that range hitting as well, plus also that batting depth as well. If you get Anuj Rawat into the playing 11, maybe then you can afford to get Stokes and Buttler to open together. But if you don't, with the current with the current depth that you have, including Shivam Dube coming up next, I don't think Stokes and Buttler will be a wise choice to go in together, because if you lose the 2 in a jiffy, then this 200 and maybe a 160 run target will look like a 200 run target to you.
Absolutely,
so exactly
because
Stokes can bat at 3 with Buttler and Vora opening and Samson at 4. I think for a team like Rajasthan, they need to keep changing their top 4 according to the situation and target. Maybe if it's a 200 target, they might send someone like a Samson ahead, someone like a Stokes ahead, and if it's a 150, 140 chase on a tricky surface, they might send someone like a Vora opening so that he can get them quick runs, while Samson and Stokes, one of them, just anchor the innings towards the end.
Yeah,
Absolutely, because Surya Sesha has also pointed out can't open with both Stokes and Butler, though that would be putting all their eggs in one basket. 3 wickets down in the power play, and the game will more or less be over for them. And he's elaborated on it further. I think the issue is more with Butler batting lower than Stokes batting up top. And he's said that Stokes was mighty impressive as an opener last year, and I think there is a little bit of a point he's made because Stokes last year he did have a very impressive 100 to go at the top of the order. So I think that's something the Rajasthan management has to figure out.
But how often do you expect Butler to make 100 and Stokes to make 100? Let's just compare. I mean, if you're getting into that argument, who's more likely to score 100 as an opener, Stokes or Butler?
Butler, definitely.
I think it's a Butler.
Exactly. So Stokes will give you a one-off innings, and Butler will give you maybe a 3 out of 10 innings. So you would rather pick a person who would score 100 3 times out of 10 rather than one-off. That's the deal.
Absolutely. So there was also the big talking point that came about was the drop catch of KL Rahul. So that's where Keshav Aggarwal comes in. KL's drop catch could have costed them the match, and I think he was just about right because even Harshit Kothari had something to say. Said that, what do you think of KL's drop catch? Is it elementary keeping mistakes from him, or was it just the pressure getting to it? The match situation just getting to him.
I think it was more of a. I think it was a big blunder. Like, it wasn't even a tough catch. It was more of a sitter. And if he had taken that catch there, the game would have been over right there. Punjab would have won by 70, 80 runs, and they could have even boosted up their net run rate. And it was a very a severe mistake, something a captain shouldn't make. And every wicket keeper is expected to take that catch.
Absolutely. Yash, I'll take your views on this.
Well, I mean, if we talk about things in hindsight, we would always know that ये अगर sitter तो नहीं बोलूँगा, I would call it a regulation catch because their level of sitter and our level of sitter is way too different. But a regulation catch like that would have ended the match early, and we would have been probably in bed right now, catching sleep rather than being discussing it for sure.
Absolutely. There were a couple of debuts on the Punjab side as well. There are two expensive recruits from the Big Bash League in Jai Richardson and Riley Meredith, who cost accumulated 22 crores for them, made their debuts. And fair to say, it was a very iffy debut for them both. What do you make of their performances today, Yash? Yes, and do you think there is how do they come back from this?
Well, see, IPL is a very different ball game, and for Jai Richardson and Riley Meredith, I feel for them because they are such experienced candidates coming from Big Bash who have proved their salt there. But IPL is a different ball game altogether. The ball flies like it flies nowhere else. Specifically for Jai Richardson, I felt that he was trying way too hard. He could have maybe let things come to him rather than attack so much. But Riley Meredith was, I think, better than Jai Richardson in that matter because this was Mumbai. It was a hard, bouncy surface, and to get that kind of a purchase from the wicket was in fact good. For Meredith, I would actually say that if he hadn't got the wicket of Rahul Tewatia, the result would have been different.
Absolutely. Raghav, I'll come to you about this. What do you think of the debuts for Meredith and Richardson today? And do Punjab have a bit of an issue on their hands, especially if they continue to go for more runs during the course of the season?
I think both of them, they can't really be blamed. This is their first time in IPL, and they just have Meredith just has BBL experience and a couple of games in New Zealand. He's not played outside Australia. He just played 2 games in New Zealand. Apart from that, Jai although has a little bit of international experience, but we just can't base them off one performance on a belter of a wicket where 200, 220 odd runs are being scored. And Meredith was in fact a bit unlucky. Like you see, he's not predominantly a power play bowler. He's someone who would give you 2 overs in the middle, 2 overs at the back end, and him bowling in the power play was not really a good idea because Buttler just used the pace of the ball, found the gaps, scored 16, 17 runs off his over, which also lowers his morale, lowers a bowler's morale. Then a catch gets dropped in his bowling. So, but you see, when he bowled the penultimate over, he got the wicket of Tewatia, which probably was a game-changing one. If he hadn't taken that wicket, uh, Punjab would have probably lost the game.
Absolutely. Very, very good question coming in from Vamsidhar Vamsi. He said that do you think international experience is playing a pivotal role in this IPL? Especially looking at the back-to-back performances from likes of Chetan Sakaria, Arshdeep Singh as well. I think the other standout name from this game, Rahul Tripathi, Avesh Khan's splendid performances. Do you think the international experience?
I would like to take you to yesterday.
Yes.
There was Pat Cummins bowling, and there was this guy called Abdul Samad who came out to bat, and he smacked Pat Cummins to 2 sixes. And I mean, अगर हिंदी में बोले ना, शक्ल देखने लगती Pat Cummins की. There was an absolute nobody who was there in last season for Sunrisers Hyderabad. He was supposed to come out at number 5, but was dropped below the 3-dimensional player with long arms. And then he comes out and he smacks Pat Cummins, perhaps the greatest bowler, the greatest fast bowler of our generation, to 2 back-to-back sixes. 2 sixes in 1 over. That was incredible. And this is exactly what IPL does to you. You have Riyan Parag. He's been part of Rajasthan Royals for 2 seasons, and today, look at the kind of innings he played. It was a small cameo of 25, but the shots that he was playing, he was not clearing the boundary ropes. He was clearing probably the first deck. And you look at Arshdeep Singh. He's been part of Kings 11 Punjab for I think 3 seasons now. He has grown from strength to strength. No captain in the world would give you the 20th over to bowl if you have 12 runs to defend and you have someone batting at 110. Think about that. Sakaria, I'm sure, is going to go from strength to strength because remember, in Rajasthan Royals, there is another fast bowler, Karthik Tyagi, who was part of India team, who toured Australia, who was the net bowler, who has the experience of bowling to Virat Kohli and KL Rahul and probably every batsman in the Indian cricket team. But he was also not played, and Chetan Sakaria played ahead of him. So that speaks about the kind of depth India has when it comes to talent and playing with international cricketers. Probably what do you think Ben Stokes would be talking to Chetan Sakaria? What do you think Jofra Archer would be telling Chetan Sakaria? Probably everything that goes into Chetan Sakaria's ears would be worth its weight in gold. So this is why I love IPL. I mean, this is why IPL is IPL.
Absolutely. Yash, Rahul, sorry, Raghav, my mistakes were there. I'll come to you, especially taking into account this question that Vamsi has put in. What do you think? I mean, how critical has the IPL been in building up the enormous reserves that India has had?
The best thing which this league has done is that they put the domestic cricketers neck to neck with the international stars. Like,
Absolutely.
You wouldn't expect a Washington Sundar, a Shardul Thakur, a Mohammad Siraj to go to Gabba and breach the fortress if it wasn't for IPL experience and the confidence which they got from IPL. They played with the likes of Steve Smith and David Warner in the IPL. They played against them, so they had the confidence of getting them out, getting the wicket, scoring runs against them, likes of Shubman Gill and Rishabh Pant coming from the back of IPL, debuting. I mean, it's obviously their domestic first-class Ranji records have been top-notch, but like what IPL does is gives them the confidence and gives them the power. Like they neck to neck, they're facing off these international stars. They're getting the tips from them. They're playing with them. Like Yash mentioned, like how about the fact Chetan Sikaria is getting tips from Ben Stokes. He'll be learning from Jofra Archer in the nets after a few weeks. Chris Morris, yes, exactly.
And to add one more thing to this, there was an India international player who was making his return to cricket, competitive cricket. His name is Mohammed Shami. He took 2 important wickets. He took Ben Stokes' wicket. He took the wicket of Riyan Parag. No one's talking about him. We're talking about Chetan Sakaria. We're talking about Arshdeep Singh. This is the beauty of IPL.
Absolutely, and talking about Arshdeep Singh, let's talk about Arshdeep Singh because I think it was a day for young Indian left arm fast bowlers. If we had a Chetan Sakaria in the first innings, there was an Arshdeep Singh who turned the game in the second innings. What do you think, Yash, about his performance today?
Arshdeep Singh played 3 seasons before this, I think 2 seasons before this, and all that experience finally came down to this one over. He knew that he has an excellent away going delivery, and both the batsmen were right handed. If there was a left handed batsman in picture, things would have been very different, but both were right handed batsmen, the ball would be leaving them. The first delivery you see, which was a dot ball, he bowled it just inside the tram line, and it was just perfect. The reason why Arshdeep Singh has been playing for so long is because of his consistency, and which is why you had bowlers like Mohammed, Shami in your team. You had two international bowlers, Jai Richardson and Riley Meredith, who could have been bowling the death over, the 20th over. But there is a reason why Arshdeep Singh was preferred by by KL Rahul. Of course, he was not pressed into the attack earlier because they wanted the best bowlers to attack. But given with no other choices left, Arshdeep was just flawless. And my heart goes out to SanJu Samson because that final last laugh was from Arshdeep and not SanJu Samson.
Absolutely. I'll come to you, Raghav now. Arshdeep Singh, especially considering that Punjab actually dropped one of their their other standout performer of the season in Ravi Bishno, and they decided to go into the one specialist spinner in Murugan Ashwin and kept Arshdeep in the side. What do you make of his performance today?
He was brilliant, and he's been brilliant since the second half of last season. Like, he's probably developed a lot since last season. Like, he's totally changed his game, and he's become a really trustable bowler. And I think about the combination of dropping Bishnoi was more about Wankhede. Like, Wankhede is not a pretty good deck for spinners. Spinners usually, it's a graveyard for spinners basically. Like, you'd rather have 16 overs of pace on this wicket than 10 or 12. So I think that's more of a point. But talking about that, if they had to field two spinners, I think they would have dropped one of Jhai or Meredith and played Arshdeep, because Arshdeep is too good to be dropped right now.
Absolutely, because there is Surya Sesha once again, and I think he's made a very pertinent point over here from that batch of Nagarkoti and Mavi. Ishan Porel was also in the same squad, but he was in and out due to injuries. And Arshdeep was a bench warmer, but he said it is Arshdeep and Ishan Porel who've risen a lot quicker through the domestic structure. So I think that's a pretty good point there. There's a good question from Pranav RS. Yes, sir, I'll come to you about with this. Has SanJu Samson presented a strong case for Rajasthan's title triumph this season?
No chance at all. Rajasthan Royals, if they win, okay, I'm going to make an open declaration. If Rajasthan Royals wins IPL 2021, I'll shave my head off.
I think MTAG TV viewers, you've heard it first up.
Yeah. I'm a huge Rajasthan fan. I've been supporting Rajasthan since 2008, even before they won their first season, because I am from Rajasthan. But not happening. Because this team is a team of stops and starts. This team is a team of individual match winners who perform one day or the other. Aaj koi chalta hai, kal koi chalega. But this team doesn't have the pedigree and the consistency to actually go on and win a title. I mean, no ways. To win an IPL title, you need to beat teams like Delhi Capitals and Mumbai Indians. I mean, you're not playing a final against Punjab Kings for sure.
Absolutely, and I'll come to you, Raghav, about this. So, has SanJu about this question from Pranav. Do you think with SanJu Samson's innings today, there is a chance Rajasthan, at least even in the defeat, Rajasthan have outlined their credentials for a title playoff spot?
I don't really think they stand a chance for the title. They stand a chance for playoffs, leave alone the title, because last season, like before the start of season and right after auction, I had said it that even before Jofra opting out, I didn't predict them to make it to the top 4. And now with Jofra out, I think they're probably going to get the wooden spoon. This
That's
team
a
lacks consistency, just like Yash said, and I think it'll be a real. It'll take a real strong effort from Joffre, like Butler and Co and Samson and Stokes for them to make it to playoffs.
Absolutely. Another question from Harshit Kothari, and he's coming up with the question of KL's captaincy. So, yes, sir, what do you make of KL Rahul's captaincy today? Was there? Did you find him improving upon his last season, or
Well, this season is all going to be about his captaincy. Let's be honest, how many runs ever he scores, this season will be remembered for his captaincy if he makes or breaks it. But today, I think I found him slightly more going with his plan. He knew that he doesn't have a sixth bowler in his team. I mean, who would bowl the who would be the sixth bowler? So he had to rally his five bowlers around and get the 20 overs out of them. So there was no other choice. But I somehow felt the field placements were also very reactive rather than proactive, because just direction में छक्के लग रहे थे वहाँ पे you would get more players in. See, if you remember, SanJu Samson and Riyan Parag hit a couple of inside out sixes, and just then he brought up the mid off, and he dropped a what kind of position would you call it? Extra deep mid off. And that was a more of a reactive move. So, which is why I am not 100% convinced. But again, it's one match of the season so far. So, it's not the right time to actually judge his captaincy in just one game.
absolutely? Raghav, I'll take your point on this.
I think yes, exactly. Like we've seen since the start of last season, like he's not had like really good games as a captain. Like I even like he meant like Yash mentioned about the field placements. I'll second his opinion, and I even remember one like Shami bowled a brilliant Yorker and Sanju placed it towards the long one, and the long one was so wide. Like even when the ball reached the fence, the long one wasn't even in the picture. So I think the field placements were really reactive and like just being changed after every second ball, and Punjab need to work that out. And of course,
Apart from
about
that,
sixth bowler also. Like they do need sixth bowler when it comes to pitches like these. Like when three or four of your five bowlers are getting stonked, you need someone to bowl chip in a couple of overs in the middle.
yeah, because this match was just about one hit. One hit, probably 5 meter or 10 meter further, could have changed the direction of the match. So yes, the sixth bowler was missing. Also, I felt one more thing about KL Rahul. If you put 221 on board, you have one hand on the trophy. In this case, you have one hand on the winning check. But the kind of confidence that a team should have, a kind of confidence that the batsman should have when you have put 221 on the board was missing.
True, absolutely. There's another question from Vamsidhar Vamsi over here. Rajasthan's bowling looks very, very weak. So, what changes they should be making for the upcoming matches? I'll come to you, Yash, first.
Drop Shivam Dube, get in Anuj Rawat. That will free up one position for you, number one. Also, when Jofra Archer returns, obviously Mustafizur goes out. That should probably help. Apart from that, they don't have much choice, because the kind of middle order they have, the kind of, I think, 7 to 16 over bowling options they have. Between Chris Morris is fine. You played a bomb for him, so you would obviously, at least make some use out of it. Shreyas Gopal is just one match, so I won't judge him. But yes, I would like to see more of Riyan Parag and his experimental bowling. One today, right arm under the wicket, probably rattled up Chris Gayle. And yeah, I mean, he could be your genuine sixth bowler, and maybe a fifth bowler as well.
Especially because the one over that Shivam Dube bowled, that got taken apart by Deepak Hooda for 20, and I think essentially that one over kind of swung the momentum of the game decisively in Punjab's favor. Raghav, I'll come to you about the changes that Rajasthan should make for their bowling now,
I think
especially their bowling or their side overall.
till the time Jofra Archer is out, they lack options, and they're in pretty big trouble right now because they've lost the MVP of last season, and they've got inexperienced bowlers bowling in the middle order. Only Chris Morris and Mustafizur can give you 8 overs, but the remaining 12 overs are a big question. And even like bowlers like Mustafizur, Mustafizur is really quality white ball bowler, but he lacks consistency too. He on any given day he can go for 4 over 50 runs without taking wickets and like cost you the game. So
Absolutely.
I don't. I
Is it?
think. I think instead of changes, like they need to. I think they can utilize more of Stokes' bowling, and one of Parag and Tewatia can give a few overs.
Yeah, because they don't have much option. Would you rather have who was that fast bowler who always went for crores and crores of runs for Rajasthan?
Unadkat.
Yeah, would you rather play Chennai Unnatkat? I mean, you don't have much options with Rajasthan.
They do have an Andrew Ty on the bench, and I think Andrew Ty in the BBL he's turned up the speed guns this time quite considerably. So they might have that, especially with Chetan Sakaria's emergence. They might want to
Exactly.
consider.
So Sakaria cements his place. Sakaria's option would be Karthik Tyagi, but Andrew Ty, no. I mean, you can't bench Ben Stokes. You can't bench Jos Buttler. You can't bench Chris Morris. You can't bench Jofra Archer. So Andrew Ty is going to be a bench warmer. If maybe Stokes or Archer gets injured, not even Archer, but if Stokes get injured, maybe then Andrew Ty comes in. Otherwise, not. Very less.
But considering the fact that Archer is not here and Mustafizur's performances are still, he's still a very inconsistent bowler. So they might, and with the performance that they got from Chetan Sakaria today, they might want to consider bringing in a tie, Andrew Ty with Morris to as the two overseas pacers and have Sakaria to join them as a third inning pacer. So they do have an option.
Yes, maybe in that case, yes. But I'm still confident that this one Mustafizur will hold the fort at least for 2-3 games till the time Jofra Archer flies.
I think yes, because yes, Ravi.
According to me, I think even if Mustafizur isn't having a good tournament or he's having a poor form, then I would play David Miller in the middle order and strengthen the batting because Andrew Ty is just not up to the mark. We've seen it over the years, and even if you consider the BBL form Andrew Ty's slower deliveries is his main variation. Is his stock delivery towards the death. And in Australia, where there are 80-meter boundaries and tier 2 level batsmen of BBL, he's expected to get a lot of wickets towards the end. Same way Tom Curran got a lot of wickets in the BBL the previous season. So like you can't really base off the performance from that.
Plus also Rajasthan playing 5 matches in Bombay and 4 matches in Delhi after that. It's going to be very difficult to get Andrew Ty because he's, as Raghav clearly mentioned, his main strength is his slower delivery. And on both these grounds, if someone reads a slower delivery, you will be found on the road.
Absolutely. Even Suresh Seshas made a very good point in his comment. Stokes in the middle overs has to deliver more overs. His T20 bowling numbers haven't been up to the mark. And given that he can't bowl up front or in the death, he has to be the middle overs enforcer that Rajasthan needs. Because otherwise, his presence essentially becomes becomes a luxury purchase in that sense, especially if he's not delivering them numbers in the middle overs as a bowler. There's another interesting question from Vamsidhar Ramsi. He's been quite active today. He's suggested Ben Stokes as an opener looks a very bad option. I think they should try Riyan Parag as an opener for 2-3 games. What do you guys think?
Anuj Rawal is a better choice for an opener, trust me.
Yeah, I think yes. The domestic numbers are skewed heavily in favor of Anuj Rawat, and especially those having followed the domestic
more effective than his range hitting is much more effective than Riyan Parag. Riyan Parag is predominantly a middle order and a finisher. Anuj Rawat, if he plays, then he would be more effective against the power play conditions when the fielders are all in and only 2 outside.
Absolutely. I think that's quite a point, and I think with this last bit of comment from Sesha, who said it was a sheer travesty for SanJu Samson and Sakaria's brilliance tonight. That despite their brilliance, Rajasthan's lost by 4 runs, and he's again pointed out that Anuj Rawat pulled off a humdinger recently in the Vijay Hazare Trophy with Pradeep Sangwan. I think who doesn't who wouldn't have forgotten that Uttarakhand game? I think which is what he was is referring to. So I think that's a good spot there, Surya. And I think with that we come to the end of our discussion. Post-match review of this exciting 200-run derby match which between the Rajasthan Royals and the newly christened Punjab Kings. And I would like to thank both Yash and Raghav for sparing their time and joining us over here for this review. And to all the people on the live chat who threw in their comments and put in some very interesting questions and opinions. So I think we have to give them a thank you as well. So thank you so much, guys. And okay, there's a quick Surya's return with Yash sir. Can KKR beat Mumbai tomorrow considering it's Chepauk?
No, Surya, that's not happening. It's going to be very difficult. Mumbai is I was speaking to someone on Radio City today in Bombay, and Radio City is actually Mumbai Indians' partner. And they said, sir,
Yes.
please be honest, don't be biased about this. I said, Mumbai Indians is a very properly oiled organization. I would call it an organization because all of the players know their roles, responsibilities to perfection. Whereas KKR is still finding its feet with the new captain who got installed halfway in the middle of last season. His new ways, his new direction. So KKR is still a very half-baked team right now. They can, of course, upset Mumbai Indians on their day, but I think 7 out of 10 times Mumbai Indians going to thrash the lights out of KKR if this 11 plays.
Because especially he's pointed out MI has had the Mickey over KKR
Yes.
for years and years.
Because
And
it's 7 out of 10.
one of the most lopsided rivalries of the IPL. So I think that with that short little precursor to tomorrow's game between KKR and MI, we'd like to thank Yash sir and Raghav for having joined us today for this brilliant review of the KKR the Rajasthan Punjab game. And to everybody in the live chat, thank you again. I mean, great comments and questions from all of you. And we hope to see you guys once again. So please do not forget to subscribe to MTAG TV on YouTube. Follow it on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and the link description to their website is also there in the description box. So follow them for some exciting content. So thank you so much, guys. It's been a fabulous time to discuss the this 200-run derby game. I think it's one would not tire away from saying it aloud again and again because it has given quite a few humdingers in the past. So thank you so much, Yash. Thank you so much, Raghav. It's been a fabulous discussion, and we would like to say goodnight to all of you, and we'll come back with our post-match review for the MI KKR game tomorrow. So thank you so much, guys. Good night, and wish you all good health.